Hello and welcome to Yoga for Sciatica. We're going to be doing a yin approach today, so the poses will be a little bit more gentle, and we will be holding them for around 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes, depending on each pose. Now, this is my personal practice for dealing with my sciatica pain, which is a side effect of my scoliosis, and something I brought on myself by doing yard work. On a side note, or on a more important note, know that the sciatica nerve is the longest nerve in the body. It's made up of several spinal nerves that converge and run from our lower back down to our knees and into the foot. This is a huge nerve, and when it is pinched, it can cause a lot of pain. So what we're going to be doing today are poses that help ease the sciatic pain. And know that sciatica is not the cause, it's a symptom. So it means it's going to be different for everybody. And you're going to have to respond and treat it differently. So at any point throughout this practice, you start to feel pain, you start to feel any tingling, any numbing, any kind of uneasy sensation, stop. Immediately stop. And if you feel like your sciatica is getting worse day after day, week after week, especially week after week, see a doctor, a healthcare professional. And no, just like all of our yoga videos online, even though I am a registered yoga teacher, I cannot be physically there with you. So it's very important that you really listen to what the body is to help keep yourself safe. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoy this practice, and I hope you feel the same amount of relief, if not more, please be more, than what I do when I do these poses. Now, as you can see, I am starting off standing, and what I want to do before I even get into my opening meditation or any of these poses, I just want to take a few walks back and forth onto my mat to kind of assess where my hips are today, how my knees are feeling, where the pain is running. Is it running actually down from the back through the foot, or is it stopping anywhere particular? Today, my pain is more on the right side, and I can notice that as I walk, the gait on the right is a little bit different, as that's when I feel the pinching sensation or the pain. And I've been doing this for a while, so my pain is no longer down the extended leg. It's actually stopping a little bit mid-thigh, so it's more in my glute area, which is as expected because, like I said, my sciatica is a symptom of my scoliosis. So I'm going to take a few more back and forth before coming down onto my mat. And when I'm ready to come down, we're actually going to begin in pentacle position. So slowly and easily, I try to lean my body down and onto the back. Now I want to bring some supports around me because I know I'm sore. So I'm actually going to bring one of my bolsters underneath my knees. Nice and slowly bringing the body down, extending through the crown of the head, dropping those shoulders. And I'm going to bring those legs nice and wide, as well as my arms, letting the full body relax. And I'm going to be here for about 4 minutes. So let's start that timer. Palms are up, shoulders and face begin to soften. Try to soften through those legs. And while you're here, take some deep breaths. Inhaling fully through the nose. Exhaling fully out of the mouth. Take a few rounds of that deep breathing. With each round, try to extend that exhale out a little bit further. Using that longer exhale to soften down the body and the mind. And start to think the breath as like a wave of relaxation as it washes over the body. Each wave cleanses you of the negative, stagnant energies that are hoarded within and brings forth new, positive, refreshing energy. If you would like, you can visualize this wave going to specific points of the body, particularly where there is pain and discomfort. And then slowly begin to scan the rest of the body. Starting from the crown of your head, work your mind all the way to the tips of your toes. Going through every little nook and cranny, every crease, every nerve, every joint. And just assess how the body feels in these individual parts, as well as a whole. Not trying to dictate any sensation, but just observing, being mindful of where the body is here and now. And with that mindfulness, you can then cater your poses to those specific needs. It is also important that as we move through these poses with the sciatica pain, that we move gently, slowly, and with kindness in the body. We want to be very careful that we don't do anything to aggravate the pain either more. So as soon as these poses start to feel unpleasant, hurtful, sore, immediately get out of them. And take a moment to rest either on the back, a gentle walk, or a child's pose. Slowly work the awareness into the center of the chest, finding that heart space, your chakra of love, love for others, love for yourself, love for the universe around you. And in that chakra of love, this is a beautiful spot to cement an intent for your practice. And let your intent be a short, positive statement in the present tense. And repeat it to yourself 3 times. And when you're ready, take a nice deep inhale through the nose. And let it out. We're going to be moving into Bananasana. So I'm going to kick this bolster away from me because I don't want it. My feet are going to stay nice and wide. The arms are going to go up overhead. Now I'm going to be hinging towards my right. So that left foot is going to come on top of the right ankle. Because in my sciatica, this may be as far as I go. Or I can begin to grasp opposite elbows and start to hinge more towards my right. This gives a nice gentle stretch along the side of the body, lengthening through the rib cage and the side and back, as well as a gentle compression through the opposite side. Because we have sciatica pain, we may not want to go too deep into that compression. Just a light, nice little banana or crescent moon shape. Try to relax through the feet, the arms, and the face. Keep the breath deep, steady, and equal. So we're working on equal length inhales, equal length exhales. Each round allowing us to soften this position a little bit more. And being mindful that we don't have to be stagnant in here. It may feel good to release a little bit, move back into the compression. Same with the legs. Think about what the body needs. If your sciatica is on one side worse than the other, this extension of the foot over the ankle might be too much. So maybe work that foot in a little bit closer time after time. Stay with your breathing. About 1 more minute left on this side. So maybe extend those arms out, grab fingertips. Really reach through the upper portion of the body. You can work on deepening that crescent shape. Or maybe release a little bit, easing yourself slightly back to the midline. And when you're ready, you'll take a nice deep inhale through the nose and let it out. Slowly work your way back to the midline. Maybe bring those feet nice and wide first before you straighten out the spine. Take a counter back in that pentacle and everything nice and long. It may feel good to maybe bring one knee into the chest, then the other. And when you're ready, you can start to move to the opposite side as we bring that right ankle over top the left knee and start to grab those elbows as we hinge towards the left. You can stay, hands in the elbows. You can extend those arms out. And you may start to notice the imbalances in the body. If this is aggravating you in any way, particularly through the leg and the lower back, you can release the ankle hook, maybe keep the legs nice and wide, or slowly work it in. Because my sciatica is on this side, I'm actually going to bring my ankles together versus getting that forced hook. Not having that elevation of the top leg feels a little bit nicer to me, but it may feel completely different to you. So take this time to play, to really learn how the pose feels. What kind of little adjustments can you take to make it more comfortable? And when you find your comfort, you can start to ease into it. Staying with the equal length breath. Try to relax through the face, the legs, and the arms. We have about 1 more minute left. Maybe see if you can take it towards that new edge. As the body starts to release, maybe you can lengthen a little bit longer. Make that compression just a tad bit deeper. When you're ready, take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Letting it out. Slowly we're going to move back to that midline. And taking a nice breath in our pentacle. That 5-pointed star. We're going to be moving into reclined pigeon or figure 4 depending on what you like to call it. So let's start with the left foot down in front of the hip, knees to the sky. That feels good. As I bring that right knee in, I may want to guide it with the hand. I'm going to work on bringing the ankle to the outside of the left knee as I push that right thigh away from me. Now, if this is already a little tender, stay here. You don't need to push it any further. If it is not giving you anything, you can work on grabbing behind the thigh, pulling that shin closer to you. Pulling that thigh closer to you. You can either extend the leg out, or bring that knee in. It may feel good because of the pain and the tension. To work on both. And if you're having trouble reaching that thigh like I am, I'm going to grab my strap with my little toes, bring it around my thigh. There we go. And I'm going to help use that to pull it in towards me. That's so much better. Now if you notice, I'm doing more of a pulse versus being completely still. And that's because of the pain. I don't want to go all the way back into it because I don't want to over pinch something. And because it really hurts. So I'm just going to play with a little bit of give and a little bit of tension. Knowing that each round does help me get a little bit deeper, a little bit more comfortable into the pose. I also have super tight hamstrings, which makes the pain so much freaking worse than the back of my legs. So it doesn't really feel that great to extend that thing out. So I'm going to keep it down. We have about 1 more minute. Try to relax through the upper body. Keep the shoulders nice and dropped. Try to keep the face relaxed. When you're ready, take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Letting it out. We're going to be moving into a twist here, so we're planting the left foot down. The arms go out wide like a goalpost, or you can help use your hands as a guide. But what we're going to do is we're going to start to shift the body so that the hips lift, stack, the left leg comes down, and the right foot is on the ground, the right knee is to the ceiling. And our reclined pigeon twist. The gaze is going to be over towards that right hand. If you need a blanket, bolster, or block, feel free to grab those. And we're going to be here for about 3 minutes on each side. Keep the breath nice and steady. And this left leg doesn't have to stay bent. You can extend it nice and long if that helps. But start to take little adjustments in the legs. Look at where the knees and the feet are going. The more you push that leg away from you, you're going to keep on getting the stretch through the outside of the hips and a little bit of the hip flexor. The more you start to bring it down, rolling onto the side of the foot, you'll start to get the stretch more back here in the glutes and a little bit of compression through the pelvic. Either way is not wrong. It's just thinking about what feels better for your body in this moment. Sometimes it feels good to rock between the two. But we want to keep our shoulders ground down into the mat. So we're not rocking too far in one direction that it feels like the shoulder's going to lift. I'm not going back in the opposite direction that it feels like that left shoulder's going up. I'm working for that balance. Ooh, that's the spot right there. Stay with your steady breathing. And at any moment you feel pain, roll onto your back and bring the knees into the chest and end the practice. But if this is starting to relieve any pain and feel really good, feel free to continue on with me. You have about 1 more minute on this side. I'm going to take these last few seconds to really sink into the stillness. When you're ready, take a nice big inhale through the nose. Let it out. You can use your hands as a guide as you slowly inhale back up to the midline. Bring both knees into the chest and start to straighten out the spine. You may have to lift and readjust yourself. And we're going to start to work towards the opposite side. Before we get there, whenever you bring those knees into the chest, make sure you don't grab the knees, but you actually grab the shins. We don't want to damage this joint and cause any knee pain to your already sciatic pain that we have. So as we move to the right side, we're going to drop that right foot down. Bring the left ankle over top the knee and push that left knee away from us. Again, you can stay here. You can work on bringing the hands behind the thigh as you bring that that thigh in towards the chest, and you can extend that leg out for the reclining pigeon. It is important that knowing your edge here, when we pull ourselves back, we don't want to lift up in any way. We want to keep our back flat to the ground. So it may feel good to bring a blanket or a strap around you and use that as a way to help bring that thigh in, working on the release. Maybe play with that little pulse. Yeah, I don't like that. I'm going to keep this like bent. But even as we pull in, make sure that you're on the meaty part of the thigh. We don't want to be down here. We also don't want to be up here. And we're actively pushing that left leg away from us. About 1 more minute on this side. Stay with your steady breaths. This side's a little bit more tender for me because my sciatica is on the right. And on a side note, one of the reasons why I love stretch that have give, like these elastic ones, is because of this pulse. It just feels really nice. But when you're ready, take that nice deep inhale through the nose, letting it out. We're moving into that twist. So we're dropping the right foot down. The arms can either come out like a goalpost, or we can use them to guide us over as we start to drop the knee over and bring that left foot to the mat. Rolling onto the side of the right foot, left knee is to the ceiling, and gaze is over towards those left fingertips. Now remember, you can keep this knee bent, or you can extend that leg nice and long. You can either roll in a little bit, getting more of the stretch on the outside of the glutes and hips, or push that knee away from us, continuing with the stretch along the hip flexors. Either way is correct, as long as we're not lifting one shoulder off the mat or the other. We're going to try to keep those shoulders nice and flat. If that may be difficult, play with your props. See if you bring a blanket underneath the shoulders and the arms, or if you can bring blocks underneath the feet so the ground comes to you and the twist isn't as deep. Invite that play, that a little bit of the exploration, and think about how the poses feel. Sometimes, there we go. That's much nicer. You need to work on softening the position in order to get the full benefit of the position. Now I can relax through my hips and body. And it's okay if you try a prop out and you're like, oh my gosh, I do not like this, I need to go back. That's all part of your practice. You have About 1 more minute left. And when you're ready, take that nice big inhale through the nose, letting it out. As we slowly come onto our backs, bringing those knees into the chest, straighten out the spine, and before we rock up to our next position, extend the left leg nice and long first, interlace those fingers, and really pull that shin forward, keeping the feet flexed. Take 3 breaths here. Then we extend one leg and pull the left shin in as the right leg is long, and again, both feet are flexed. We're going to take 3 breaths. Bring both knees in and give yourself a little rock from side to side. Massaging out the hips, the spine, and don't pull the knees in as tight. We want to get the lower portion of the body, so that lower lumbar. And when you're ready, you have a nice momentum. You can roll over to one side and push yourself up. Now, we're going to be moving into Child's Pose. Child's Pose is really good stretch for the lower lumbar and the back and the hips, but it can be a little tender with sciatica. So make sure you have your props, your blocks, your bolsters, blankets, whatever you may need. We're going to be here for about 4 minutes, so we're going to bring those knees nice and wide. As we bring the hips onto the heels, slowly bringing the body forward. I'm bringing the bolster underneath my pelvic and belly as support, and extending those arms nice and long. Forehead goes down to the ground. And while you're here, take those deep breaths, those slightly longer exhales, and really draw that imaginary wave over the back of the body, softening out through the hips, the low spine as you extend and stretch, and work those hips towards the heels. And at any time, you can either bring the ground a little bit higher to you, or you can remove your prop altogether and work on getting the body down towards the floor. Just really listen to what the lower lumbar is screaming about, where the tailbone area feels. And try not to overexert yourself in this position. We want this to be our resting pose, our ease pose, the pose of comfort. So try to do anything you can to make sure that that comfort is met. And just as a reminder, your pose does not need to be completely still and stagnant. It may feel good to bring the body forward, adjust your props by moving or adding them, or even just bringing the body forward and releasing back down. For me, that's a little bit too deep, so let's try a block instead. That's much better. No, that is not. Let's remove that block and go back to the bolster. Like I said, it's okay to play and adjust your props. Sometimes you think something's going to feel great and it actually feels awful. And that's okay. Just start to observe those differences in what the body says and then change your expression of the pose because of it. So this was a little light for me, but the other two variations were just too deep. So I'm going to come back here and enjoy this for about 1 more minute. When you're ready, take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Let it out. We're going to slowly push the body up. Maybe remove our props, our bolsters. And we're coming into a very low Sphinx. So for this, I like to give my chest a little something to rest onto so my back bend isn't that deep. But to get into it, we're going to bring the body down. Those legs go nice and long. The pelvic is on the mat. Now, we would bring the elbows underneath the shoulders. Fingertips are spread. You're flexing through the knuckles and the palms as you pull the body towards you, pushing that chest out. Even though this is a gentle back bend, it can still be very aggravating to sciatica. But it can also be a really good release. So if it feels great, stay in that more active position. What I'm going to do is bring a rolled blanket underneath my chest, bring my elbows a little bit before my shoulders, and allow myself to sink in here in a little bit more gentle variation of this, as well as bringing my feet in nice and wide so that my hips can relax. And stay with the deep breathing. Nice, steady breath. Maybe sink down a little bit to soften that bend. Now, Sphinx pose not only gives us a lovely stretching along the tummy, but you get that little compression in the spine to help wake up the spinal fluid. It's also a really good complement for child's pose. So if you ever get a chance, I recommend playing and flowing from your child's pose in the Sphinx, and then flowing back from your Sphinx to child's pose. It's a really great lower back stretch and release. But for today, because this is a yin practice, we're going to stay in the stillness of it. Stay with the steady breathing. Focusing on those equal length inhales, equal length exhales, and keeping that imagery of each breath like a wave, washing over the body. Each round of that wave takes away all the negative stagnant and hoarded energy that we no longer need, that no longer serves us, and that may be some causes to the pains in the body. And that breath wave just washes all of that away, opening up areas for new energy, new life force to come in and heal and help the body. And we're going to have about 1 more minute left here, so really enjoy it. When you're ready, take a nice deep breath. Let it out. We're going to remove any props that are underneath us. And we're going to come down into Crocodile. So those elbows go wide. Palms stack as you bring the forehead on top of the palms. Give yourself 3 deep breaths here. Really reach through the crown of the head. Point through those feet. Nice long body. And slowly push yourself out the tabletop. So we're coming onto the knees. And then we're going to push ourselves back. We're moving into Yogi squat. So depending on where we are with our squat, we may want a block to sit onto. And I'm going to bring my hips up nice and high. My feet are wide, my toes are pointing in. Now, in my normal practice, I can get these feet all the way on the ground and those hips down, but that's not happening today. So my stance is going to be a little bit shorter. My heels are going to be up. And I'm actually going to bring a block underneath to sit onto. Ooh, that is a little bit better. And then take my adjustments. Making sure that my toes go into the same direction as my knees. And really reaching through the crown of my head, getting that spine nice and long. With my Yogi squat here, I don't want to be hinged forward. That can aggravate the sciatica. I want to keep that spine nice and long while giving my body a little bit of support as well as getting that flex in the hip flexors. So from the side view, as I shift around, I'm back like this. Not hinging forward. I want to stay nice and tall. Relaxing those shoulders. Staying with that steady breath. If it's in your practice, and it does feel good, you then can start to take the hinge forward, getting into that little slump, or removing your block. I'm still in a lot of pain, So I'm going to stay right here. But if this pose is in your practice and you know how to navigate it, feel free to do so. We have about 2 more minutes left here. It may always feel good to kind of lift up and release. Maybe play a little bit. Yeah, I don't like going forward. Not today. And try to stay with your steady breath. One more minute. When you're ready, take your nice deep inhale through the nose. Let it out. We're going to slowly come off our props if we have any. Work ourselves down into a seated position with the hips behind us, the feet in front, fingertips towards the booty, and give yourself a little windshield wiper from side to side. We're going to be coming into our next position, which is Swan or Sleeping Swan. So we're moving back to that tabletop. Nice and easy and slow. Now, unlike Pigeon Pose, where you want that sharp angle from the wrist and knee towards the opposite wrist and ankle, in Swan we want it to be a little bit softer. So I'm going to bring my right knee forward towards that right wrist. But I'm taking a softer variation in that leg. I'm working it in line with the wrist, but it's not right up against it. Then slowly extending the leg out. Now, depending on where you are with your sciatica, this may be intense enough. For this side, I think for me it is. I can also play with where I put that foot to help soften it, and where I use my blocks to help keep those hips nice and level. That's what we want to work on here, keeping those hips level while we're in this pose. We don't want to be dipping towards the left side or over dipping towards the right that left hip starts to lift. We want to find nice stability. And if it is in your practice, you can start to work yourself, ooh, that is tender. You can start to work yourself onto the forearms and eventually onto the ground. Can I even get there today? Is that even going to be part of my practice? Oh. That is definitely an edge for me. Yeah. I'm gonna have to stay high on this side, but that's okay. That's where my body needs to be. Now notice I'm not locking that joint or overextending through the elbow. I'm keeping a nice soft micro bend. I want to make sure that those arms stay safe. Reach through the crown of my head, keep the spine nice and long. We're about halfway through. We're only going to do 3 minutes on each side. For those of you that this is super tender for, if it does hurt and you get a pincing sensation numbing through the hands or feet, immediately exit out of this and go to child's pose before stopping the practice. This pose is very good for sciatica because it does stretch along the back of the glute where the nerve begins, but that also means it can be quite aggravating to it as well. And as you go through your yin practice, it's important to notice what is aggravating and pain versus what is a slight discomfort. As an example, while I am here, this is a slight discomfort. The pain that I was originally experiencing is no worse. Now, if I went back down into my sleeping swan, that pain is like 10 times worse because it's really pinching the nerve. Therefore, I'm not going to take that variation. We have about a little less than 30 seconds left. When you're ready, take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Let it out. We're going to be moving into child's pose to counter this. So maybe hinge forward, tuck that toe so you can remove your props. As you drop the knee, sliding the other knee back with the hips, and continue to push those hips down as you bring those knees wide. Taking a little counter here. Push through those palms so the hips go back, getting a nice stretch. And when we inhale, come back up high to our tabletop. We're going to be moving through the opposite side. So I'm going to bring that left knee up, creating that angle. So my ankle is going to be in line with the wrist, but it's not going to be right up next to it. So I have a nice angle in my shin and knee. Then slowly extending the right leg nice and long. And again, playing with where my hips are. I don't want to be dipping over to one side or the other. I'm working on keeping them nice and level. As I bring them both down, eventually to the mat. I'm actually going to bring a block under here and take a little adjustment in my arms and legs. Now again, if it's in your practice, you may come down onto the forearms. Oh my gosh, and you may notice that one side is so much better than the other, which is the case right here. I'm having no extra pain as I come down, so I'm actually going to take Sleeping Swan on this side. The hands could be together. You can extend them out. If it's in your practice, you can eventually get the chest all the way down to the mat. You reach through the crown of the head, doing whatever variation feels good for you. And sometimes it's just mind-blowing the difference between one side of the body and the other. Stay with the steady breath, keeping that mental visualization of the wave, washing over the body with each round, taking with it what no longer serves you. And when the wave comes back, it brings back new life force energy. We have about 1 more minute left. So maybe if you are high, see if you can work yourself down. Again, if it is too painful, go back up. I'm actually going to ease out of this just a little bit to soften before we counter with that child's. When you're ready, take that nice big inhale through the nose, letting it out. Slowly removing your props, taking that little hinge forward so you can bring the knees back nice and wide and take a little counter in your child's pose. Push those hips back towards the heels. We're moving into one final position, which is our supported bridge. So you are going to need a block or a bolster. I'm going to do this with a block. If you want other propping ways, be sure to check out the other videos. But I'm going to gently bring myself onto my back. Nicely guided down. Knees are to the sky. I'm taking a slight tuck in those shoulders. Planting through the feet. Now, when I grab my block, I want to make sure that I'm pushing this underneath the sacrum. So it's not on the booty, it's just a little bit higher. So you inhale, squeeze and lift that up. The block goes underneath, right here. So kind of like where your underwear line would be. We don't want to be down here. We also don't want to be all the way up here and get a really harsh curve. You want a nice long line in the spine and being supported. This actually feels really good. Now while we're here, the arms can stay nice and relaxed. Sometimes I like to bring them to my hips. And you can keep the knees bent. Or you can extend them nice and long. The heels can go out a little bit further. You can bring those legs together. Find a place that is nice and comfortable for you. Actually, this feels really good with one leg bent and my sciatica leg extended to get a little bit of stretch along that leg. And work on your deeper breath here. The longer, slower, steadier exhale. And if it's in your practice, and you want to do an inversion or a deeper inversion, this is still an inversion, you can work on bringing those knees up and then eventually straightening those legs to the sky. This begins to aggravate me a little bit, but I do like the softness of the inversion, so I might stay here with the knees up. But again, take any variation of this pose you want. There is no right or wrong here. Well, really there is one wrong. If you feel pain, that's wrong. But if you don't feel pain and you play around with the position, finding different things you may like, that's right. Maybe finding a place that you think feels cool but also gives a little bit of discomfort, that's also right. We just don't want pain. We never want to invite pain into our practice. We're about halfway through. At any point you want to find a standard bridge. Squeeze those glutes, lift the hips off of the block. You're more than welcome to do so. And if this pose starts to feel too much in any of its variations, remove your prop, go back onto the back and bring both knees in towards the chest, grabbing from the shins, and let that lower lumbar lift. But for all else, and you still feel okay in this, stay in your variation, or maybe play with another one. You have 1 more minute. So either take that minute for stillness, or take that minute for other variations. I'm going to choose stillness. When you're ready, take that nice deep inhale through the nose, letting it out, slowly tucking those shoulders to remove your prop as you lift and squeeze those hips up, and then slowly bringing yourself onto the back, untuck those shoulders and bring those knees into the chest, grabbing from the shins, pulling them in nice and tight. Let those feet relax. It may feel good to give yourself a little sway from side to side, or just enjoy the stillness. We're going to be moving into our Shavasana, and depending on how you feel, you may want to take the traditional Shavasana on your back, or if you want to follow me into Crocodile for Shavasana, you can play with that as well. So start to take any little movements you need so you can begin to set yourself up. In my case, because I'm going to do my Shavasana in Crocodile, I'm going to give myself a little rock to side until I can comfortably get to one side of my body, pushing up as I slowly come on to the belly. Bring those feet nice and wide so my hips can relax. Elbows go wide, hands stack, and forehead rests. Whatever Shavasana position you choose, start to calm the body and the mind down by taking 10 deep rounds of breath. Full length inhales and longer, deeper exhales. Allow these rounds of exhales to really soften, relax you. And then naturally and effortlessly, you'll begin to drift off into the stillness, and your breath will move to your natural breathing. Slowly start to bring some subtle movements to the body. Maybe a little rock from side to side, some movements in those fingers and toes. And when you're ready, if you're in your Shavasana, you'll bring the knees to the chest and surrender over. If you took your Shavasana in Crocodile, you're just going to slowly roll onto one side and bring those knees up into the fetal position. Sealing in your practice. Taking a moment here to honor where you are, here and now, and to be loved for that. And if you set an intent, please repeat it to yourself 3 more times. Take one final deep inhale through the nose. Let it out. And slowly work your way up to a comfortable seat. Today mine is actually going to be a hero's position versus an easy seat. And bring the hands to heart center, slightly bow the head. The light in me honors and respects the same divine light in each of you, and all that we think, do, and say. Namaste. Thank you all for joining me in my personal practice of what I do for my sciatic relief. I hope it helped give any of you any type of release or any type of comfort so you can move around the rest of your day. And always remember, make sure you see a doctor for any kind of pains, discomforts, anything that feels weird in the body. Doctors do it best. And that, you guys have a great day. Bye.